Regular meeting of the Zionsville Redevelopment Commission for Monday, May 24th, 2021. Current time is 6:33. This public meeting will be conducted pursuant to Governor Eric J. Holcomb's executive orders and Governor Holcomb's exercise of his powers under Indiana's Emergency Management and Disaster Law, Indiana Code 10-14-3. Additional information regarding the meeting is provided in the annex published with this agenda. Thank you all for joining us. Why don't we do a roll call of RDC members that are here live and remote?
Kent Ezra, I'm here.
Kate or do we have Kate Swanson with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Kate.
Okay. Colleen Hiddle.
Present. Hi, everyone.
Good afternoon. Before we move down our agenda, I'd like to thank Cindy Madrick for her time and her input on the RDC over the last year and a half. Cindy has resigned her position on the RDC and has moved on to the Zionsville Planning Commission. Great. Okay. And then if we could recognize the folks that are waiting in the bay to participate. I think we have Carol Weber, Sally Zalonis, Tammy Kelly, and Vicki Hall. Is there anyone else?
Roger popped up, but it's different.
And Roger's on the team here. And Roger and Brian are advanced to this group here. So, okay, great. Wayne, if you could start with reports, please.
I'm just looking to put the report in my hands.
We will, I don't recall seeing the reports in the packet.
Let's go ahead and move past the report. Looks like you did make your published information for this evening.
Okay.
But it would be almost nearly the same identical report. The update for you, Cohatch is, Cohatch is moving through the process, certainly having conversations with both the Plan Commission, the ZARC, and the Board of Zoning Appeals. Certainly there'll be the ZARC meets tomorrow morning to look at additional funding that's become available to them. So I believe that the ZARC will see if they can push some additional grant funding dollars out in 2021 here to that and the Tipsy Mermaid as well, were both conversation points.
Okay, great. And just for the benefit of others on this call that may not know what Cohatch is, if you could provide some information.
Certainly, it's a project that has sought both Plan Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals review related to co-working, as well as a restaurant component. It's a mixed-use development within the former United Methodist Church on, I believe it's Poplar and Main Street. The facility was most recently utilized by Nancy Noel's art gallery and for Nancy Noel's brand of merchandise. Certainly this project looks to move forward throughout this year through entitlements and looks to open here, I would say, late 21 or 22.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, for old business, we have a couple of sets of minutes that we need to approve and adopt. So the first one is the March 15th, 2021 special meeting. It was conducted electronically. Does anyone have any questions in regards to the meeting memoranda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve and adopt the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 15th, 2021 special meeting minutes.
Great.
Second.
We have a motion and a second from Colleen.
Somebody.
Yes, that was, I believe that was.
It was Colleen. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. All right, motion and second. Any discussion? Okay. Roger or Wayne, if you could do a roll call.
I'll take care of the roll call. Ms. Swanson,
Aye. Approved.
Ms. Hiddle,
Yes, approved.
Mr. Ezra,
Yes.
Mr. Patel.
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Thank you. The next item is our regular meeting on April 26th, 2021. I did have one comment. Item 6A, we got Mr. DeLong noted that this commission has been working on this project for more than the past. And I feel like we're missing something there.
Should say more than the past 12 months.
Okay, all right. Very minor, but I felt as though that statement wasn't complete. Beyond that, I didn't have any questions on the minutes. Anyone else from the RDC?
Not for me.
I'll move that the Monday, April 26th, 2021 regular meeting minutes be approved.
Second by Hiddle.
I have a motion and a second. Wayne, if you could do a roll call, please.
Certainly. Ms. Swanson,
Approved.
Ms. Hiddle,
Approved.
Mr. Ezra,
Yes.
Mr. Patel.
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Thank you. All right. Under new business, we have the Community Development Corporation recommendations for a grant application for Z-Works at 85 East Cedar Street. I believe we have Kara and Tammy from the CDC, and then Vicky from Z-Works. So really, Vicky, if you could share with us some of the need and some of the goals for your grant application.
Hi, yes, thank you for that. It redirected me as a panelist, so it it caught me off guard there for a second. I apologize. I do see that in the packet that you all received that the further explanation and kind of a breakdown of our request for 2021 was included. I'm happy to go through that, or if there's any specific questions. This letter that was submitted to the CDC was based off of all of the information that we sent in for our community enrichment grant. That we did receive the $10,000 from the community enrichment grant, which is funded by the food and beverage bucket, if you will. And last year for 2020, you guys and the CDC were kind enough to grant us the COVID relief grant, which was a huge help. And part of that conversation as we were wrapping up was the potential of yearly funding from the CDC and RDC moving forward for Z-Works, as we are an economic development engine for Zionsville.
And this request is for $15,000.
That is correct for this year.
Wayne, we typically have a cover sheet that states how much the CDC had approved.
Correct, and I can speak to that this evening. The
Okay.
CDC, the Community Development Corporation, supports the 15,000. That is the ask for 2021 here. Certainly, Vicky outlined, this could be a yearly program as far as need, but certainly the request that's in front of you this evening is $15,000. The CDC met a few weeks back, voted unanimously to support this request. Certainly, out of just by default, you have two CDC members that are online to talk about something completely different. So any specifics, not to put them on the spot, but at the same time, again, staff is here to say that the support of the 15,000 is unanimous.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Hall from members of the RDC? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve CDC's recommendation for a $15,000 grant for Z-Works.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
A motion, a second from Colleen. Thank you. Any further discussion?
I am happy to answer any questions. Like I said, I don't want to, I know you all are very smart people, so I just didn't want to read through the letter that I had sent, but I'm happy if you have any questions on some touch points that I highlighted.
Okay, great, thank you. And just for clarification, this is approval of CDC's recommendation for a 15,000 one-time grant
Correct.
for Z-Works.
Correct.
So we have a motion
Correct.
and a second. Wayne, if you could take a roll call, please.
Certainly. Ms. Swanson,
Approved.
Ms. Hiddle,
Approved.
Mr. Ezra,
Yes.
Mr. Patel.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. I appreciate the additional help for this year, and we can discuss moving forward for other years, but this a huge help for us, and I look forward to being able to make some noise with it, if you will.
Great, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Next on our agenda is the term sheet with Formation Investments LLC. We discussed last month that their agreement would soon expire, and that if they chose, if they had a need for an extension, that we would ask that they would come in with a formal request. And I believe Wayne has been in connection with the ownership at Formation Investments.
Correct, and that's how we communicated, I believe it was back in April, that certainly this community development commission was supportive of an extension to your May meeting, and certainly this would be the time to discuss if a further extension was necessary related to the project. Certainly no indication that anything else would be moved forward this evening, so certainly it seems clear to go ahead and not issue an extension, and we'll just continue to market the sites as we previously marketed them.
Agreed, thank you. Will Formation Investments be notified that they know? Okay.
Staff will do that, take care of that.
Great. Finally, last item under new business, the Community Development Corporation has a grant request for $10,225. I believe this was introduced last month.
Correct.
And we had asked for some further information and further discussion. So we do have Kara Weber and Tammy Kelly online. Ladies, if one of you could just give us a little bit of background on your request, that'd be appreciated.
Sure. Thank you for having us. I will kind of review quickly the content of the letter and the ask, and Tammy jump in if I miss anything. So this is a funding request for $10,225 for 4 different items. Number 1, legal fees. In seeking the reformulation of our corporation status from a 501c3 to C4, as well as restructuring the microloan program. So investing in figuring out how that we might be able to use that in the future. So those are to the cost of $8,000 has been the quote that we've received. Secondarily, accounting fees. Given that we distributed more funds than we anticipated this year, these are slightly higher, although quite fair fees. So we've got $375 for that. Insurance expense to match our risk to liability, given that we own the Creekside common area. You'll see my dog in the background here. So we've got $850 for that. And then replacement expense, this is sort of ad hoc for a couple, we've identified at least 2 trees, I believe, currently that are dead and need replaced. So happy to answer any questions about any one of these items. Tammy, jump in if there's anything that you would like to add to that.
I guess just basically that this is a one-time ask, and that we anticipate as more lots in Creekside are sold and become developed, that our revenue will increase. And so this ask will not be necessary or or less and moving forward. But right now, our expenses have exceeded our revenue. And so that's why we're asking for some help.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the RDC? Hearing none. Entertaining motion. to-
Okay, Sanjay, it's Kate. I do have a question. But it's more
Go
of a
ahead.
question, it's more of a question for the RDC than it is for the CDC. And I'm sorry that I don't know this, but are we in any risk of like how are we doing on our budget for this year? For as the RDC?
Put to Wayne for that question.
No, that's a great question, Kate. We went through the first quarter of this year, completed the process through with your finance officer here with the town, who is also your treasurer. Certainly reported out to the state of Indiana how those funds look. The budget that is proposed through 2020 in 2024, 2021 is sound. The one item that was new in the forecasting was a $71,000 or $74,000 payment to the school system, which is due in July. That's a little bit higher than what we had originally anticipated, but that can be absorbed through other line items. So the budget is sound. The $250,000 grant line item that you budgeted in 2024, 2021 is good, and we're operating business as usual.
Okay, great. Thank you, Wayne.
Certainly.
Great, good
Yeah.
question.
Actually, this is Brian. There may be a possibility that these funds can be appropriated from the allocation fund that's associated with the TIF district. And I know, Wayne, we've discussed this before, and this is something to look into to see if that's an available source of these funds. I just don't have the statute in front of me, but it is associated. I mean, these are costs, particularly the maintenance costs that are associated, with that TIF district. So I think we should take a look at the statute to see if that's an authorized funding source.
And said another way, it's a debt that we could apply against another expense and balance out the expense for us, specifically speaking to any TIF related items that are spent out of the Creekside line. The Creekside funds that come in, we could apply this expense after that. It just would help make the spend a little easier. I mean, we're only working with 10 grand here, so it's not too challenging.
I move that we adopt the funding for the CDC of $10,225 from the RDC for the 2021 budget. I don't know if that was absolutely right.
I think that's good.
This is Kate. I will second that motion.
Motion is second. Thank you, Kate. Wayne, if you could, roll call, please.
Certainly. Ms. Swanson,
Approved.
Ms. Hiddle,
Approved.
Mr. Ezra,
Yes.
Mr. Patel.
Yes, motion carries 4-0. Thank you all. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next agenda item, we have remote meeting access. And we've been working under the governor's emergency order for the last 15 months or so. Through legislation this session, some of those powers have been removed from the governor's authority to mandate certain things during an emergency. So I know the RDC, we as a group do have the capacity to have telephonic meetings, but we've asked Brian Chris to develop an official, wouldn't be an ordinance, but an official policy for our RDC group to continue moving forward with some level of remote access for our RDC members. So Brian, if you could share with us what that policy would look like. and what our next steps would be.
Well, I have good news. So the governor's emergency orders expire May 31st. So this will be the last time, hopefully, Sanjay, that you have to open a meeting reciting that we're operating under emergency authority granted because of the pandemic. So, and I have even better news in the sense that this board adopted an electronic meeting policy under the Indiana statute that specifically permits, a form of electronic meetings under Indiana Code 36-7-14. There has been a little bit of press and a lot of chatter in the municipal community about new legislation that was passed under a different code site that is broadly applicable to municipal units. And it looks like it's really specifically really directed at fiscal authorities like town councils, city councils. And it is similar to the statute that is applicable to the RDC. And similar to your current policy, with the exception, there are several enumerated type meetings that must be attended attended in public, and those meetings are really geared towards tax increases, public referendums, decisions triggering public referendums. So those are the listed items in the Indiana Code 5 that deals with just general municipal entities. So the Indiana Association of Municipalities and Ice Miller agrees with this, that because of the way the statutes are worded, that the RDC has the option of following either statute. And since you fully adopted the policy, the limits of electronic meeting attendance policy right before the pandemic shut everything down last March, you do have a policy in place that meets the statutory guidelines. So, and quite frankly, the differences in Indiana Code 5, the new legislation, it'll be interesting to see with the way they're interpreted, but a lot of the additional limitations just they're not really applicable for what this body does. So I think that's, why these changes weren't also made to Indiana Code 36-7-14. It's really geared towards it's different types of bodies.
Do we need to make any adjustments to the policy that we adopted previously?
Not unless you want to. AIM agrees with us, with Ice Miller. We think that you could operate under either statute, but again, you're operating under the statute that is specifically applicable to the RDC, and the statutory differences in the new legislation. It's stuff that doesn't. It's limiting, for one, limits the circumstances that you can have electronic meetings, and two, the limitations aren't real applicable, kind of to the core function of this body. But we'd be happy to circulate around what those differences are to the board, and if the RDC wants to consider making changes in a future meeting, that's something that you can always do. You can always change your current policy, but your current policy complies with the law and provides the most flexibility under the Indiana Code with respect to electronic meetings attendance.
As long as it keeps it legal, I'm okay with it. Yeah, no need to make the change. Thank you, Brian, for that explanation. Any questions regarding our ability to have remote meetings?
I am wondering if, this is Kate, before COVID, were these meetings live like this on YouTube for other people to participate or watch?
They were not, Kate, at that time.
I see that as a real advantage to the community to be able to, so that will continue, or are we saying that will end eventually?
Yes, the intent is that'll continue.
Correct. We've enjoyed an abundance of additional input and attendance and public participation, and that's been phenomenal. That's, I would say, one of probably the few pluses that's occurred out of the pandemic. We've learned a lot about ourselves, and certainly the town went through a spin to provide additional technology. And we've got some great staff members that have learned some new talents as a result of this. And certainly we're going to lean into this and certainly, enjoy the additional reachability of the public through these new tools.
Great. I think that's awesome.
Do we have any other business? I think we're good. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Does someone have a second? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.